Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be working on this bubble drip tumbler. I saw this technique a very long time ago from Sandy over at Sandy's Organized Chaos, and then I've seen it once or twice since then, and I knew that I just had to do it because it is so much fun. I did it once on a mug, and then I knew that I had to do it at Halloween time for this specific look. Today I am going in on a 20-ounce handled tumbler from the tumbler supply store, and we're going right in on the stainless. We did not paint this at all first, so prep however you'd like and then don't paint it. So I am going in with my foil glue from Artistic Painting Studio right onto the stainless, and I'm just giving it a good coat, not too heavy but not too thin, because we're going to be adding some luster dust from Diamonds and Dust on this entire tumbler. So once it's ready to be applied, it is clear, just like if you were applying foil, because that means it's not dry but ready. And then I'm taking this onyx luster dust from Diamonds and Dust, like I said, and I'm just sprinkling it right on, and with a gloved hand I am just going to rub it in all over the tumbler. Be careful because this stuff goes everywhere. I think there's a clip coming up actually right here. You can see the little particles flying in the air. It's beautiful, but it goes everywhere. So I just go over the entire thing. I just do a little at a time so that I don't make an even bigger mess than I'm already making. I rub that in really well just to make sure that all of the tumbler is coated. I did not worry about the bottom because we're going to be covering up most of this anyways. And we just rubbed it in, and then it was ready to move on to the next step. So once that was nice and coated, I applied a coat of epoxy and let that cure. It did get much darker, just forewarn. When the epoxy was applied, it dried much darker than I had anticipated, but I'm actually really glad it did that because it's just adding to the look of my overall design. And then I decided to add just some pops of this really cool foil that I got from Artistic Painting Studio. And I went back in with the Artistic Painting Studio's foil glue again, right on top of the cured epoxy. And then I just did random spots for it. And then I helped it dry just a little bit with my heat gun. Be careful though, because you're putting heat right onto cured epoxy and you don't want to interfere with any of that. So I just helped it along just a little bit, and then I set it aside and let it dry until it was completely clear again. And then on these little random spots, I added all of this really cool sparkly foil. It's kind of like a clear foil, and it just has these metallic rainbow little dot lines in it. And also, side note, when I first applied it, I put the whole sheet on and it was upside down, so sometimes it's hard to tell what side is the correct side, but no problems. I just peeled it off, turned it around, and it was good. So then after I was done with that, it got a coat of polyacrylic and then a coat of epoxy, and then we're going to move into this next step. So I cut these spider webs out of my Silhouette software, and I just did too big and too small, but I ended up only liking the large ones. So I found where I wanted to put those, and I kind of wanted under the spider web to be part of the foil and part of just the traditional black on the luster dust on the bottom, just to kind of give it like a dimensional textured look underneath it. So I applied both of those large spider webs, and then I took it outside and I spray painted it black And then I used this Color Shot, like sparkly one that I saw outside, or that I saw at Walmart. And then I took them outside and sprayed both of them. And it's hard to see this pixie dust one, but it added just like this hint of sparkle. It almost has like a greenish tint to the sparkle over the black. It's really hard to see here, but in person you can definitely see it a little bit. I just thought it would be a fun little added surprise to the design of this. So then once that was dry, I peeled off all of the spider webs that I also used removable vinyl for. If you use regular vinyl, sometimes it can be really hard to get them off. And I always pick a color that I don't ever use, so that way I always remember that that is my vinyl that I use for peekaboos. Once I was done removing all of that removable vinyl, I then took my textured black vinyl from Tech Rep Crafts and I cut out more of the large spider webs and I applied those on the tumbler as well. I didn't want them to really stand out, so that's why I picked black, and I did texture just to give it kind of a balance of texture so that you can see it, but I didn't want them to be the main focus, so you can more see them kind of when you turn the cup sideways or you look at it from the side. It's kind of like a surprise element, I guess you could say. So I applied some of those on there just in random spots, and I did take the last one and I cut it in half and applied one to the very top rim and one to the very bottom rim, just to kind of give it some fun design surprise as well. Once I was done with that, it got another coat of epoxy, and then we're going to move into the bubble drip part, which is my favorite. So I got these flat back pearls from Hobby Lobby. You can order them from many places, but because I'm going to be covering them up, I didn't want to spend a lot on them, and I got them on sale, so I think I paid 99 cents for each pack, if that, something like that. So I got 3 different sizes because I want the drips in the end, they're going to look like bubbles. So I just took out a few of each size because I wasn't sure how many I was going to use. So I just pulled out a few of each size, and then we're going in with this UV resin from CCDIY. And I just put a little bit on the cup, and then I'm putting the flat back pearls right on it. And be careful because they will slide. I was having a little bit of an issue. I made my spot too big, and because the tumbler is curved, they were just kind of sliding down the side. So I just worked in small sections, and I just applied the pearls right to that UV resin. And then we're going to cure each little spot with the lamp for 2 minutes at a time, and then move on to the next section. I just continued to do that in small sections until I had bubbles all the way around the top rim of the tumbler. And I didn't do anything specific for size. I just kind of randomly placed big and small together just to kind of give it a random placement. And then we're going to cover it up anyway, so it doesn't really matter in the end, but I wanted some different dimensions to really give those bubbles a good effect. I then actually took my tumbler outside and let it sit in the sun while I let it cure, so I knew that it was good and cured. And then I mixed up some epoxy, and we're going to add this green glow powder from Amazon. I just got it in a pack on Amazon. And then I also had this other glow powder that I have no idea where I got it from. I've had it for years. It has no company name on it, so I'm not quite sure where it came from. And I do not recommend, if you add additives to your epoxy to make it thick, do not do that. I did that on the first round, and adding that made it not glow. It made it too opaque. So don't do that. Take this as a lesson, but just add the glow powder and then let it sit on the side for a good 45-ish minutes till it really thickens up, stirring it every so often. But once it gets thick enough, work really fast. So mine almost cured on its own before I had a chance to put it on this tumbler, but thankfully I realized that it was time and I caught it before it got too thick. So just like any other drip, I just gather some epoxy on the popsicle stick and I just kind of scrape it on the rim of the tumbler and go all the way around the top rim like that. And then even though it's thick, it will still kind of move down and spread a little bit. And then I just want to make sure that all of the pearls are covered up. And then once they are, I just take my little tiny torch to it just to make sure I pop any bubbles it may have. And then it's good. I set it aside. And right here, see at the end, see how it got globbed up? You don't want that. Then once that was completely done, I added a coat of epoxy. I did let the drip sit overnight. I forgot to mention that. So then once that was done, it got a coat of epoxy. And then once that was cured, then we're going to add these adorable little spiders. Not that I think spiders are adorable, but these were plastic, so it was okay. But I went back in with my UV resin and I just picked a few little spots for these spiders to go and did the same thing as the bubbles. I added a little UV resin, held the spider in place because the plastic was just not loving to stick to the UV resin, cured it for about 2 minutes, moved on to the next spot, and I added 3 or 4 spiders. Then once that was done, I went in with this decal. I did an offset in black, which in the end you can't even see the black offset at all, so it wouldn't have mattered if I added it or not, but it's okay. I have this problem where I think that every decal needs an offset. So I had this really cool neon holographic green vinyl that I think I got from Hobby Lobby, and we're going to add that to the black offset and then apply it to the tumbler. I was going to do it in the middle towards the top, but I really liked it on the back side at the bottom. So once that decal was applied, it got 2 final coats of epoxy and it was all done. I absolutely love the little added spiders. Like I said, I don't love spiders, but I feel like it just totally takes this tumbler design top notch. So I hope that I've inspired you in some way. I hope that you loved this tutorial. I would love a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to see videos from me in the future, hit the little bell notification and you'll be notified every time I upload a new tutorial. As always, I will leave all of the products I used and where to find me down in the description box. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment or message me on any of the social media platforms, and I always respond. I know that it is still August and I'm here sharing a creepy, spooky Halloween tumbler, but I don't know about anybody else. I feel like I blinked and summer vacation for my kids was over because my kids start school on Monday and now I am ready to get into all the fall things. So I will see you next week, and thanks again for stopping by. Have a wonderful week, y'all. Bye.